longest season in the history of the WNBA has officially come to a close, but that does not mean that the analysis and the breakdown stops. Welcome to the wrap-up presented by AT&T. So great to have you with us alongside Ari Chambers. I am Sam Ravech. I feel a little bit melancholy today, Ari. I feel a little bit sad because it feels like the last day of school, right? You're not going to see your friends for a while. The season has come to an end. What is the saying? Like, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened?
Oh, no, I've been having meltdowns the whole weekend because what do you mean it's over? It's the best season that we've had in the WNBA, the most competitive, the most visible, just all the energy surrounding finals. The conversation around the game has been something that I have not seen in so long, and I am very sad that it's over now.
I would agree with you, too. Melancholy. Man, mostly sad.
Yeah.
Mostly sad. All right, we've got a great show for you for the next 30 minutes. We're going to break down what we just saw in the WNBA Finals. We're going to preview also the CBA, a lot of talk off the court. We're going to hand out some superlatives, speaking of like the last day of school. We're going to award some of the players from what we saw throughout the course of the season and some of the great superlatives that we have. So let's start with the Finals, though, Ari, and what we just witnessed out there between Phoenix and Las Vegas. Despite the fact that this was the first year that the WNBA expanded to a 7-game series, the Las Vegas Aces had no intention of playing 7 games this year. Clearly. And A'ja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces secured the series win in 4 over Phoenix. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, though, for this Aces team. They were 500 at the All-Star break, and forget about playing for a championship. They were just trying to make the playoffs. But there was an inflection point back in the beginning of August. That August 2nd lost 53 points to Minnesota, one of the worst in franchise history. You were sitting in this chair talking to Coach Carolyn Peck, and Coach Peck was ready to fire up the Aces. Let's hear it.
We're known to have Peck talks around these parts. Why don't you give the Aces a Peck talk? They could use you right now.
Well, Vegas, look. Now's the time to put it all together. A'ja Wilson is the leader, and you all have even taken upon yourselves to self-scout. Now take a hard look in the mirror because it's go time. If you want to get into the playoffs, you've got to put strings together because we have seen when the Aces get into the playoffs, you can make things happen, but you got to get there now. And so it is about now playing selfless, playing together, and playing determined in order to get a shot in the playoffs.
You know, claps for the Peck talk, claps for the Peck talk. Well, let's see if they can make it in the playoffs.
And they did, Ari.
They made it into playoffs. Listen, what did Coach Peck say? Selfless, together, determined. Those were the key factors going into the rest of the season. We know the leader, A'ja Wilson, gathered her team and said, if you are not embarrassed, we don't want you in this arena. And Becky Hammon, I'm going to read the exact quote. She said, their care factor really showed up. And that was the overarching theme for the rest of the season. They took care of the basketball. They paid mind to their offense, making sure everybody gets a hand on it. They played off of each other's energy. A'ja Wilson being the rock of it, but you also have Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray. You have the addition of Melissa Smith. You have Dana Evans showing up in great times. KB being able to be clutch. There were so many different factors of them being able to play together, and that really resonated with how their record displayed.
Heading into this matchup, Ari, I think we all expected the big three to show out and do what they did. But there were really 2 ancillary factors, as you can point to, as reasons why the Las Vegas Aces won in such dominant fashion. I think one is obviously the three-point shooting, and the other being the bench point and the bench discrepancy between the 2 teams. Las Vegas had 19 more threes in this series than their opponent. Their bench outscored Phoenix by 30 points. That's no small feat. And those were really 2 difference makers, and one of the big reasons why that Las Vegas was able to build out so many big leads in this series.
Absolutely. Whenever you try to double A'ja or whenever you try to draw attention to their paint production, that leaves who open on the wing? You have Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, Jewel Lloyd. There's so many different factors that the Aces have. They're deeper. They were a deeper team when they faced off against the Phoenix Mercury. They had the ability to reach down that bench. They stayed ready, and the IQ of it all. We don't talk about how Becky Hammon allowed this team to scout for themselves, so they were able to have a different perspective when they went into these games, a very vast knowledge of what to face because they scouted themselves. It's the autonomy of that, knowing like, hey, we can hold it on our own. And also, the adversity of it all. When you face adversity at the beginning of the season and your backs are against the wall and you have to move with a sense of urgency, when you have adversity in postseason, you're less shaken. You can see the difference in the body language of the Las Vegas Aces versus the Phoenix Mercury.
Yeah.
They were confident, they were aware, they trusted each other, they had already been in the trenches together. So when you take all those factors together and put it with the skill set that they have, from top to bottom in that roster, it's a recipe for success.
Incredibly well said. And it was the ownership, right? Taking ownership. Hey, this is our team. So whatever the results are, we are going to own those results. And I thought that was incredibly well put. Coming into this finals, though, Ari, there was really no debate as to who was the hotter team, right? Phoenix had just taken down the defending national champs, defending champions, I should say. I'm already in college mode. The defending champions in New York. They take down Minnesota, who was the 1 seed in these playoffs. So coming into this finals, this was the hotter team, but it was an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, which was the Las Vegas Aces. What do you think went wrong for the Mercury, if you could kind of boil it down?
This is going to boil it down, maybe oversimplify it. I think the commentary around the refs really was to their disservice. Phoenix is a very physical team. They play very physical, and all season they've been able to play with that level of grit and physicality and really kind of bulldoze respectfully, in the best way possible, over physicaling the rest of the teams. But when you have attention to the refs and the refs have to consider player health because coaches are getting mad, athletes are getting mad, Phoenix is taken out of their identity. It was to their demise. So all this attention going into finals, they were called for fouls that they weren't normally be called for, and it really had them alter the way they played because you have your best players in foul trouble and have to reach into a bench that you haven't normally had to reach into. So honestly, I think it's the lack of physicality that they could play with really was to their detriment.
Right, and they just kind of dug themselves into too many holes, and
Yeah.
there were insurmountable leads, right? Whether you point to, Game 4, they trailed by 17 points. Game 3, they trailed by 20. Game 2 was like 22, and it was just insurmountable leads that the Aces built up that you just could not come back from.
That was the issue. You don't want to be in that hole against a team like the Las Vegas Aces. However, I will give Phoenix credit because this is a team that does not let a deficit intimidate them.
No doubt.
They will be fired up. But what my worry is with Phoenix the entire time was, do you have to operate from a deficit?
Yeah.
Why don't you go out there and be the first one to punch and be motivated to really be the aggressor? The aggressor always wins. And by aggressor, I mean production-wise as well, not just the grittiest team.
Yep.
But you have to go out there and set a standard of, I'm not going to dig myself in a hole so that I can dig out. There are so many times, Game 1, they should have won that game, but keeping a level head in that tech really was a momentum swing for them. But this is a team that likes to operate as the underdog. Kalia Copper said it herself. She's a psycho. She likes to have that motivating factor. Like, don't bet for us. I think she said, don't bet on us.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't take people doubting you in order to really show up. The best basketball I've seen from Phoenix is when Satu went down with that concussion and when Nate Tibbetts got ejected from the game. So I want to see Phoenix be a little bit more self-motivated from start to finish as opposed to working through deficits.
Right. Focus on us rather than what people are saying about us.
And let me make it very clear because this is very respectful to Kalia Copper. She is a rock. She's a dog. She really held it down. So that's not any mark to her. I'm just saying I want Phoenix from minute one to not be able to, or to not be reliant on digging themselves out.
I think it's okay to have both, right? That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
I also think it's safe to say that this was not like the best Aces team that we have seen from the last couple of years, nor was it really the most impressive playoff run that they had put together. But they came through in the biggest moments, and that's what championship teams do more often than not. But the Aces did establish themselves as one of the true dynasties in the WNBA. But now that they do have those 3 titles, Ari, where do you kind of rank them amongst the pantheon of WNBA dynasties?
So I'm really trying to not have recency bias, right? I'm really trying to look at the rosters and their overall impact. I think that they're kind of like an equal playing field. If you look at it comprehensively, a whole team, they still need another title to really be in the mix of the comments and the links. So I'm looking out to see within the years. But the Houston Comets being able to do that 4 years in a row is nutty. Like, we have not seen that since. The Minnesota Lynx owned the teen years, right? They had the Maya Moore era. Now we're in the A'ja Wilson era. I still think they're building up to be the best dynasty, but they have the greatest player of all time.
I think it depends when you, like, when do you consider the start time for this dynasty? Is it in 2019 when, they were playing in a semifinal? Is it 2022 when they won their first?
Well, I still remember when they got swept by Seattle in the bubble. Let's not get the recency bias, too much. But team to team, like, what this franchise means to basketball right now, we're seeing the next iteration of a dynasty form for the 2020s.
I think it's also pretty safe to say that without a player like A'ja Wilson, there is no dynasty. And we talk about Becky Hammon as really an X factor for this team and a leader for these players. And what she said, I thought, after they won the championship was tremendous. When talking about A'ja Wilson as a transcendent figure in the game of women's basketball, she said, "You have your Mount Rushmore. She is alone on Everest." And that really kind of says it all. She is one of one.
Yeah, and we have the thousands of people trying to climb up to Everest, but you can't reach her. But at some point, you don't even try to reach her, right?
Yeah.
No, but A'ja Wilson, I just want to read her accomplishments. I do this often, but I mean, it just keeps getting longer. First player in WNBA history to win a championship, Finals MVP, League MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year in one season. Only player with 300 points in a single WNBA postseason. 4-time WNBA MVP. WNBA single season rebound record holder. 3-time WNBA champion. 2-time WNBA Finals MVP. 3-time WNBA Defensive Player of the Year. 6-time WNBA All-Star. 3-time First Team All-WNBA. 2-time First Team All-Defense Team. I'm getting exhausted reading it, but
yes.
The impact that A'ja Wilson has, she's in a league of her own. Literally a league of her own. And in August, she turned 29. Like, in August. Like, she just got here, 29. She hasn't even lived on this planet for 30 years and is still doing it. That means there's so much basketball ahead of her. And I know that she puts her money where her mouth is, and it can be like I hate to use men references, but like a LeBron or like a Diana Taurasi when Diana was like, I'm going to put in all this money to take care of my body. A'ja's in great shape. And so I anticipate a long runway of basketball ahead of her.
I think that's one of the biggest, it's one of the biggest differences between great players and truly elite players is the never settle mentality, right? It's how do I get myself better? How do I improve not only myself, how do I improve the situation around me? How do I improve my players on my team? How do I make them better so in turn they make me better? Whenever
you have such a dominant presence that makes everybody around them, that really forces the hand, forces you to match their energy, forces you to match their impact. That's how you know that you're a great leader, a great captain, a GOAT, because you make everybody around you better. Sam, I completely agree with you.
Somebody asked, what's the ceiling for A'ja Wilson? There is no ceiling. The sky is the limit.
The sky,
right?
There is no limit.
Yeah.
The limit doesn't exist.
Right. No, it doesn't. And we cannot wait to see what is in store for A'ja Wilson and this Las Vegas Aces team, which there's a lot of uncertainty going forward in the WNBA, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But in the meantime, it is time now for Guarantee of the Day, presented by AT&T. Ari, I'm going to go out on a limb here and guarantee that the league's popularity will not falter. In fact, it will only rise, because what we have seen, you talked about at the top of our show, you are not only seeing record attendance, record viewership, you're seeing new fans come into this league, you are seeing valuations of teams go up to the next level, and all of it is really pointing to a new dawn and a new era of the WNBA. This is obviously not to say that what happened in years past is not important to the foundation of this league. It is foundational. But where we are seeing this league go in years to come, and I know there is a lot of uncertainty going forward, let's take a moment to embrace what we have seen over the last couple of years in the WNBA, because I think it is truly fascinating to follow. It is incredibly entertaining to follow. The players do such a great job, and I know you are closer to players than most are. They do such a great job of letting us in. And letting us experience who they are as individuals off the court, because that's who they are. They are individuals. So I'm just so excited for what the future of this league holds, despite the fact that the narrative over the last several weeks has been negativity, CBA talk, what's wrong with the league. How about we focus on what's right with the league, because there is so much right.
To see it is to believe it. You said the word seen. You can't be popular if you're not seen.
Right.
And for the first time ever, the women's sports is on the forefront of everything. It's the hot thing right now. And because people are able to watch it in real time, they're watching greatness in real time. And there's so much movement that's going on. So many players that had to step up in the absence, unfortunately, due to injuries. There's so many more storylines being born from this season. And because the eyes are on it, it's going to create and continue conversation. When there's conversation around something, it's going to be sustainable. It is sustainable. My guarantee, Sam.
Please, talk to me.
There's going to be a lot of movement. You mentioned CBA. We're not going to get into it quite yet. But between the CBA, expansion draft, free agency, all the things, your faves, you're going to see some things shake up. They can only protect it. From principal alone, 6 players, maybe 5. We don't know how it's going to be with protection-wise, but there will be movement. A lot of players only signed 1-year deals going into the season because they knew that expansion was on the horizon. They knew the CBA was happening. They knew that they can have the opportunity of starting fresh somewhere else. You might see some of your star players move, like if there's a team stacked full of stars. You might see some new franchise players being born, some collegiate players coming in, like Paige Beckers did this season, and just redefining what it is for their team. The movement is the guarantee, and your faves are going to be switching and switching and switching and switching.
And all of it, too, just makes what is to come so exciting and like must watch and must follow throughout the entire offseason. I don't even know if we can call it an offseason. There's not going to be play on the court, but there's going to be so many
It's the gift that keeps on giving, Sam.
There's going to be so much different in the WNBA when we move forward. The Aces' historic season was certainly one to remember, but there were so many other moments that deserve their praise throughout the 2025 season. So let's take a look back at some of the top moments that we saw from 2025, and we are going to start with Caitlin Clark, and in a game where she hit 3 straight deep threes against the Liberty. This one with a minute and a half left in the first, and then a minute left in the first. She's going to bank another one. She has the range. The injury to Caitlin Clark certainly dampened the season. Indiana still fought, though, without her to make it all the way as far as they did. An incredible performance there. All right, play 2, Anissa Murrow. Difficult jumper for the Sun versus the Sky here. Fade away.
Fade away.
Baseline.
Yeah.
That was a top moment. It's going to be interesting, too. We talk about moving pieces. What happens with Connecticut going forward, right?
Connecticut's got to get better. I mean, they're only going to get better. They had to grow into their own. We knew that this season in particular, they had to have a rebuilding year. They blew the team up. But somebody who I'm also convinced is going to have a rebuilding year is both the Dallas Wings and LA Sparks.
I like that.
Paige Beckers is a walking highlight reel. And just for her to be so effective for her team and be a leader and not let the height of the league shake her up has been really cool to watch.
A couple of rookies, Paige Beckers, Sonia Citron. This was an incredible shot, fading away from the defender there against the Fever. And, as great as Paige was this year, I don't know that I necessarily expected Sonia to be, that great of a player on her team. She was the player on her team. All right, Angel Reese, Holly Rowe, one of the greatest moments.
This isn't an adjustment period without Courtney Vandersloot. Are you fixing my eyelash? I love that so much. Thank you. Courtney Vandersloot being out, you guys have turned it over a little bit.
How about that? The wherewithal from Angel.
She's such a girl's girl. She said, Holly girl, I can't have you having this lash like this. We need to make sure that you are looking good, your best. Listen, me and LaChina one time in 2017, this is the story y'all didn't ask for. I did a whole broadcast with my eyelash up, and she's like, all right, I thought you knew, girl. No, I didn't know.
Call that out, right?
You gotta call out a lash.
Yeah.
Be clutch.
All right, well, as is customary, Ari, kind of at the end of a school year, you might get a superlative, right, from your class. Best student, funniest student, right? So we're going to hand out some superlatives that we came up with that pertain to your favorite WNBA players. And we start with the clutch queen as a superlative. And I think there's only one person that could win this award, right?
It's A'ja Wilson. And that clutch shot, the Game 3 winning bucket with, ironically, 2.2 seconds left on the clock when she made that shot. One of the best photos that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It was poetic, really. And some things are just destined, and that was one of those ones that you were like, nah, this is pure destiny.
There's a lot of great 22s out there in the game of women's basketball. That shot right there and that photo encapsulates a moment.
If you saw the look in her eyes, I know Carolyn and I were streaming at the time just on live, and we were like, oh, she's possessed. That was the look of somebody who was so locked in. Everything was silent around her. She knew that she could shoot over Alyssa like she had been doing the entire series. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah.
She knew she had that.
Right.
She knew she had it.
And you listed all of the awards that she won this year. Nafisa Collier was a player that was in that conversation for MVP, was in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, which is why she deserves the defensive menace superlative that we're going to hand out. Fee, even though Asia won this award, again, Fee was on the team that was amongst the best in the entire league at defensive efficiency. She ranked 3rd in the league in steals, 5th in blocks per game. And overall, this Minnesota team, even though it didn't end in a championship, I think you still consider the season overall a success?
Yes, absolutely. I think that what they did regular season was unprecedented, having that separation factor, and it was largely due to Nafisa, not only on the offensive end, but the defensive end. She knows how to harness her length and work her footwork to be disruptive. She has been a disruptive player on both ends of the floor, but I was really impressed by how she has a great IQ and good eye for the ball to know where it's going and be perfectly positioned every single time.
Fee has been a staple there in Minnesota, but you're right, there are moving pieces going forward.
She ain't going nowhere.
There have been moving pieces in the past. Jewel Lloyd was one of those pieces that moved from Seattle down to Las Vegas, an integral part to that championship team. But early on, it was not really fitting very well. That was until she went to her coach and said, what, Ari?
She said, get me off the bench, child. I need to be off the bench. And that was a veteran move, to take your ego out of it and say, let me focus on what is best for the team. I know I can be explosive, a spark off the bench. I'm not really feeling the rhythm that we have with our starting lineup right now. Let's just try this out. Becky had the trust in Jewel and acknowledged the fact that this is a vet who knows what she's talking about. So it's just a back and forth. It's a removal of ego, but a trust from your coach to see if you can work it out, and it did work out.
Yeah.
Look at her.
I'd say it worked out pretty well. Yeah, worked out pretty well. So she ain't new to this veteran award. That's what we're giving Jewel Lloyd for the superlative. Coach of the Year, Natalie Nakase for the Valkyries. What an impressive story that this was all year long to follow. Set WNBA record for wins for an expansion team in their first season. They were the first expansion team to make the playoffs in their very first year. This is going to be an exciting team to follow.
It is, and when I mention this often when I talk about the Valkyries, their ownership group amongst their inception said, hey, we're going to win a championship within the first 5 years, and this was before they even constructed a team. But for them to be able to back it up and say, hey, our first year, we're going to make history as the first expansion team to make playoffs, is a great indicator of how solid Natalie Nakase had a vision for her team, how solid she was in her coaching, how solid she was in the way that she acquired the players and made them comfortable within her system. We were like, what system do you have, child? But she showed us.
Yes.
And I will say, I was really, really, really convinced that Carl Smeska should be up there too, because the Atlanta Dream finishing top 3 in the league and have been honestly staying top 3 in the league the entire year, I was really proud of.
That's a great shout out, honorary there to go alongside Natalie Nakase. We go to the human highlight reel. That is Paige Bueckers in her rookie season did things that we haven't really seen before. She was the only player in the league, by the way, forget rookie, the only player in the league who finished ranked in the top 10 in points, assists, and steals per game. What more can you say about Paige?
You know the phrase, keep it P? It's just like, she just so fire. Like, I judge people off the way they play basketball stylistically, and she has one of the smoothest games that I've ever seen a player have. She's fun to watch, and just everything she does is flashy, but it doesn't look like it's full of effort, right? Like basketball is natural for her as she works at it, but it's natural for her and it looks natural and it makes me want to watch her. That's why she's the walking highlight reel.
She is a walking highlight reel. She's also a certified bucket, but she doesn't win that superlative. That's going to go to the 8-year vet in Kelsey Mitchell, who led the league with 111 threes this year. And to me, Ari, the most impressive thing was it wasn't just this year, which was a career high 111. She's put up over 100 threes in each of the last 3 years.
She had to assume a lot of utility when Caitlin Clark went down, though this has been her team for a while now. But Kelsey Mitchell, I'm so glad she was able to be put on full display this year. She's the fastest guard pace-wise in the WNBA, one of the most skilled three-point shooters that we've ever seen in the game. And she is your favorite player's favorite player. Mm-hmm. This next generation grew up watching Kelsey Mitchell throw it down, really making it rain on all the opponents, and I'm so glad it was on full display this year.
So Kelsey Mitchell there, certified bucket superlative. Congratulations, Kelsey. I know that's maybe one of the better awards that she's ever won in her career. Certified bucket award from the wrap-up.
She should win so many more. We love Kelsey Mitchell around these parts.
All right, best viral moment. I think you could pretty much wrap it up into 2 words, stud buds.
2 words, 2 people, 2 pink heads over here infiltrating All-Star Weekend. Literally everything about Courtney Williams and Natisha Hiedeman has been such just fun. Just fun, and whenever people can feel your energy through the screen, they're going to be bought into what you have to deliver. They were able to get everybody to just let their guard down in All-Star Weekend. I remember leaving All-Star Weekend saying, this was the funnest All-Star that I've ever been to, and I've been to 10 of them. And that's a lot of the reason why, like, Courtney and Natisha putting smiles on our faces.
Yeah.
And they were able to record it all.
They were, yeah. And this is what I was talking about, too, about growing the game. Like, the WNBA gets it.
Yeah.
You need to let people in.
Yeah.
And you know, be just authentically who you are. And I really appreciated that about the stud buds.
Yeah, and athletes are able to take full agency over their stories. And Courtney and Natisha at their core are storytellers. They opened up the door for us to see the story of All-Star Weekend, which I think they got to like 70,000 subscribers that weekend. It was nuts, all because of authenticity, all because of virality. And that virality came from them just being them.
Hey, and sharing their stories and sharing their trials and tribulations and adversity. And speaking of, Alyssa Smith was a player that will be deserving of the comeback kid here this year. Experienced career lows, obviously in Indiana and Dallas, but man, did she find her groove and her role in Vegas.
We always talk about how the WNBA is all about fit, and it was almost like a poetic bow on it all. Alyssa had lost her love for basketball and rediscovered it playing under somebody who she considered her GOAT, which is we're now acknowledging is the GOAT. Mm-hmm. A'ja Wilson took Alyssa Smith under her wing. And on the other side of things, Alyssa Smith brought something that the Las Vegas Aces needed, the rebounding, the presence that just her size gave the Aces at the time where they really needed it. It was a mutually beneficial situation for them. And I'm glad that Alyssa was able to rediscover her love and be able to produce on the court the way she did.
100%. And she did know her role. There were a couple of huge rebounds that she had in Game 4 when Phoenix was starting to make a comeback.
And she can take a body. She takes so much physical assertion. Yeah. She draws that. And so, she wasn't scared. She stepped into the new role, accepted her fate with a new team, and it worked out really well.
Not always really easy to do. And we've seen it crash and burn many a time. But Alyssa Smith, your comeback kid of the year. All right, wait. She did what? Moment of the year for our superlative. That goes to Breanna Stewart. Stewie suffered a knee injury back in September and was later diagnosed as an MCL sprain. Those are not fun to come back from, Ari. As know as someone who cheered, I got to imagine the knees are something that is not always a fun injury to deal with.
I've torn my ACL, I've sprained my MCL. I know exactly how that feels. The fact that Breanna Stewart was able to perform like this for her team, based off the will to win, they know what this is the reigning championship team at that time. She wanted to wheel her team into success, and she did whatever she had to do. This is a champion on the floor right now. That's very painful. I don't think that we're talking about that enough. Like it's very painful to play on a knee injury and to be the only one to score in that whole quarter. If I like she went absolutely bonkers,
yeah.
Sam.
I'd be like, where is everybody?
Like where is everybody? I'm playing on one leg.
Yeah, does everyone else have sprained MCLs as well, or is it just me?
Yeah. Jesus.
Incredible stuff. All right, last but certainly not least, our final superlative we'll hand out: player with the flyest fits. All right, this is where you kind of come into play here, and I take a back seat because nobody knows the fits like you do.
Yeah, I've been proud of Angel Reese's growth in fashion this season. She talked to Ravech, and she has a lot of friends in the industry. She was on the board of the Met Gala. Just seeing her be able to play with different prints and mix designer with non-designer and just establish what her style is as opposed to just fashion has been exciting. She does a nice little oversized number. She loves accessories. I know she does a lot of vintage pieces. That is exciting for somebody who has a fashion background like myself, but Angel, I remember talking to her senior year of college, and she said, Ari, I want to get into modeling. And the fact that she has already booked Sports Illustrated, did that in print, and is the first professional athlete to walk the Victoria's Secret fashion show and release a Juicy Couture line, which is very nostalgic for me. I love a baby girl moment. That is a baby girl moment. She is reinventing what it is to be a fashion girly within the WNBA. We know what it is to have tunnel fits. We know what it's like to really stunt for the tunnel. But she's stunting in real life. Met Gala, I love this. It was perfectly on theme. She's just really coming into her own and expressing it through her clothing. And she's already a confident person. And if you ever needed any type of reminder of her confidence, you can see the things she puts on because, honey, she steps.
Right. Role model on and off the floor, I think.
1,000%. And I don't understand how she deals with all the ridicule she does every day. And I remember talking to Christina Nigwe, and she said the clothes are armor. And I don't think that Angel sees clothes as armor. I think she sees it as an exclamation point for what she's already putting out.
Really well said. All right, those are our superlatives here on the wrap-up show. We have handed them out. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments as well.
We have some more fits, Sam.
We do? We have more?
I think we should have some more.
Okay,
Let's see.
What we got.
Dejanay Carrington, my favorite Barbie, she dresses herself. She says, I don't need a stylist, and she was really committed to the Dallas theme when she was still on the Dallas Wings. And I love this Western fit. Courtney Williams has perfect mask energy every single time.
Courtney Williams is my favorite.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I mean, she has been really playing into the tie and the bow tie and the hat of it all, so it's giving kind of schoolgirl realness with the Letterman. But Skylar Diggins takes so many risks in her fashion. This is a great, beautiful blend of leather and other textures, and just the earth tone of it all was really chic.
How do you balance the risk between like traditional? Is there a balance that you try to
Yeah, so
it's a fine line, right?
It's unique to everybody. Asia Wilson staying near and dear to her, showing off that stomach. I would too if I had those abs. But you have to have a balance. And Rakia is interesting to me because she taps into nostalgia a lot. So she takes a lot more risks than I would imagine other players do with the micro skirts and boots. It's really risky. If you don't have those legs, I don't know about it, right? Like, but Kalia Copper stays near and dear to herself too. She's a really fashionable one. If I wanted to rate a closet, it would be Kalia's closet.
It's
any
great
day.
because it's kind of like a analogy for what she does on the floor, like Picasso.
Yeah,
she does.
I love that. But no, but it's true though, Sam. Like what you need to do is figure out how much of a risk you want to take and what you're comfortable with, because confidence shows through when you put on clothes.
Very good. I got a lot of work to do, but we have an entire off season to work on our fashion. So
you look spiffy.
I appreciate that. All right, hard to believe that we are out of time. But there is so much going forward for this WNBA. The league itself, we'll see what happens with the CBA as the clock continues to tick, but we will be covering it. You can follow, of course, on the ESPNW. ESPN.com will get you covered as well. For Ari Chambers and our entire crew that has worked so hard on the wrap-up all season long, we can't thank you guys enough, too, for watching at home. We will see you throughout the course of the off-season. So much to talk about, and, of course, we will see you for 2026. Thank you so much for watching the wrap-up presented by AT&T.